haven't seen the previous video in this series, follow the link on your screen or click the link in the description or pinned comment below.
I herald his beginning. I herald your end. I herald Galactus.
Attempting to purchase my goodwill with a perfectly reasonable 15 seconds of credits.
So we're sinning the movie for doing something you think is good? Bro, what?
In case you confused it with Earth, a number I don't have to hang around until after the credits to appreciate its significance.
I mean, it's not that vague when you think about it for more than 2 seconds. The Fantastic Four were created by Jack Kirby. Then you might think, well, what's 8/28 mean? And then it clicks that it's a birthday. Whose birthday? Again, think about it for more than 2 seconds.
Having this many lights and still being in a room this dark.
You might want to look up the word lumen.
This chunky pregnancy test that gives no clear indication as to how one pees on or prods anything.
It's very obvious how this is used, Jeremy. What's next? You're going to tell me you don't know how to use the 3 seashells?
He doesn't know how to use the 3 seashells.
Also, I spent far too long trying to figure out what this Stark logo meant and what the it means that the Starks exist in this universe when we know our DJ is going to be playing Doctor Doom, and how weird that is. Several subreddits later, and I realized it actually says Stork, and the fault here lies with that Iron Man post-credit scene making me think everything is a Easter egg.
So then give that movie a sin. Why are you sinning this film for something you're mad at another film for popularizing? It's a pregnancy test with the word stork on it. It makes total sense.
Nothing is going to change.
Tell that to his sleep cycle and your cervix.
Bruv, what is with certain men and thinking women want length? Trust me, after poking that many times, I can tell you women much prefer girth to length. It gives them something to grip onto when they orgasm.
We all know the story.
But I'll rehash it here because the nice theater goers might not know the specific version of the story.
Ah, but is it a rehash if it's a different version? Discuss.
I assembled the best scientific minds to come along.
Who also happened to be
my best friend, my wife, and my brother-in-law.
You can't just say that and not comment on how nepotistically weird it is.
I mean, he did. That's what happens to be meant in this context, that those people coincidentally are the best people for the job. It is Reed Richards, after all. As intelligent as he is, he would naturally gravitate towards other exceptional people.
Everyone gets a moment of glory in this montage except Ben, whose powers have simply put tugboat captains out of business.
I'm almost immune to the lies you tell about films, Jeremy. I mean, I'd have to be since I've been doing this for 8 frickin' years now. But I'm still shocked that you would show footage and then immediately say a false thing that we can all see. First of all, in the separate instances where we are shown the individual four, they show us their capabilities. Johnny absorbs a fire, Sue uses an ability she later uses against the Surfer and Galactus, Reed stretches out of harm's way, and Ben demonstrates his tremendous strength. That was the purpose of those scenes, to show you what they're capable of. But more importantly, you say Ben doesn't get a moment of glory while briefly showing, and then cutting away from, the scene where Ben gets the knockout punch on Giganto. It's even worse because this is the scene from the very first Fantastic Four book, so ignoring it is worth an extra sin on its own.
The Fantastic Four saved my life.
No one gives the people who engineered this building the kudos they deserve. It falls straight down 100 feet or more and doesn't collapse. The design cushions the landing enough for people to leave without broken legs.
Right. So the movie gets a sin because, in universe, the builders of the building Mole Man purposefully sunk were good at their jobs. Yep, that makes sense.
Mole Man's attempt to steal the Pan Am building was thwarted by the Fantastic Four.
Any villain who thinks it's advantageous to steal an entire building is not a villain worthy of what appears to be the world's only superhero team.
I mean, he literally did it in their backyard, and very likely to spite them as they defeated his minion, Giganto. Also, as you said, they're the only superhero team. Mole Man, despite regularly being treated as a joke, is a supervillain, and supervillains require superheroes to deal with them. If you think regular-ass cops can deal with the frickin' Mole Man, you're probably as dumb as Doom thinks Reed is.
How the f does the Human Torch, aka the Human Ball of Fire, save people without prematurely cremating them? The answer's in the comics? Well, they should consider putting it in the movie.
This is exactly what I mean. He's literally showing footage of Johnny's lower body being aflame while his upper body is in its normal state, but is somehow still asking why isn't the girl on fire?
This equation not only confirms alternate dimensions.
You know, this weird pushback on the multiverse is really f***ing annoying. It's incredibly casual coded. The multiverse is a huge part of Marvel Comics, and DC for that matter. This is where 616 comes from. It's a designation for the mainstream Marvel universe, meaning there are more realities in the comics. I mean, one of the most popular movies about a Marvel character, the Spider-Verse films, is about a character that isn't even from Earth 616. So can we please shut the fuck up whining about the multiverse, as it's here to stay because it's a normal part of Marvel Comics. And f that dumbass joke at the end of Deadpool and Wolverine. That shit didn't make sense anyway.
It's a good thing this seat is empty. It subtly demonstrates how plush and, one might even say, downy they are. A stark contrast to the type of chair one might expect in this situation.
Yes, RDJ is playing Doom. This is the second mention in 3 minutes. Build your bridge and get over it. The MCU is cooking up something with that casting, so let's wait until the movie releases before we bitch and complain. I know that's like asking to squeeze blood from a stone, but still.
Don't do that. Wash your hands first, please.
I was on my gloves the whole time.
Which means your hands were inside a sweaty and dark hole ready for germing. Whoa, sudden college girlfriend flashback.
Considering vaginas don't have interior sweat glands, all these stories about your college ex-girlfriend are starting to make a whole lot more sense when you think about what tube socks can be used for.
We'll try that.
Ben just got on to Johnny for not washing his hands, but then he sticks his big old naked rock pinky into the sauce like a double standard asshole.
Wouldn't be a double standard if he'd already washed them.
The MCU attempting to backdoor canonize Wall-E.
Not so fast, my tourist friend. Herbie has been around since the late 70s. If anything, Wall-E is a ripoff of him.
Also, despite being the smartest man in the world, Reed has failed to create a droid that can actually talk.
The movie uses a 1960s-inspired retro-futuristic setting, and the robot's design, which uses tape parts to animate its face, fits this aesthetic. What I'm saying is, this was a deliberate design choice made by the filmmakers, as Herbie does speak in the comics. In-universe, Reed probably has no real need for the bot to speak words, as it communicates just fine, and out-of-universe, the bleeps and bloops are cute and could appeal to children.
Waiting this long to install fire alarms.
They specifically show why they don't have fire alarms in the very next scene. They have a member that regularly catches fire and that would set off the alarms constantly.
You'd think this scene would include a brief moment when the teacher tells the superhero to stop lifting cars to entertain the kids because the kids will mimic their heroes and lift cars themselves and then die horribly, but it doesn't.
I have a strange feeling that those kids can't lift a car in the first place, rendering the PSA moot, Jeremy. But hey, what do I know? I only have a 3-digit IQ, not a negative 4-digit one like you.
Flame off.
Ben's ability to crush a solid object into ash is a power worthy of exploring, but the movie never does. Not even when he cooks, which is the perfect time to flex this skill.
Literally, what food item do you crush into a powder? Coffee beans? Are you asking for them to have him grind coffee into dust? Why would that be better than this joke? This is like the 100th super strong character in the MCU. Why would that be impressive in any way?
Our Silver Surfer glory shot reminds me that it's 2025 and we still haven't matched what T2 pulled off in 1991.
If you honestly believe the silvery effects in Terminator 2 look in any way better than this Silver Surfer, you're either blind or dishonest. Or if you're Gen Z, bliss-honest. I mean, do you not see Johnny's reflection in her skin? Also, you stole this footage from another YouTube channel. Their watermark is still in the video, you lazy goofball.
Someone thought that if they made this shot look as beautiful as possible, we'd just ignore the fact that Johnny's flame powers have given him the ability to survive in space.
Depends on exactly how high up they are. If it's in the stratosphere but still below the mesosphere, this fictional comic book character should probably be fine. Probably.
How is it that Joseph Quinn looks more like young Robert Downey Jr. than young Robert Downey Jr. does?
All white people look alike?
Why is everyone so happy? They learn they're going to die. And do not tell me it's because they're religious and excited to meet God. They should be bricks.
Arguably, they should be afraid of meeting God. The Jewish version of God was biblical. Wait.
Approaching the FTL engine.
He's invented faster than light travel? And they don't have a fleet of spaceships taking advantage of this shit? Is he seriously just hoarding all the technology for when he feels like exploring space?
Welcome to the Reed Richards is useless trope, a trope literally named after Mr. Fantastic. All superheroes face this issue where the things they can do can benefit society as a whole, but they never do them, like Storm never visiting every drought-stricken place on Earth, or Batman, instead of beating the shit out of criminals, using his money to eliminate poverty, which would have the effect of significantly reducing crime in Gotham. In other words, just go with it.
Also, how the f do you invent faster than light engines and not artificial gravity? Kubrick had that shit nailed down in the 70s.
Because floating around in space looks much cooler. Also, the Fantastic Four stories are science stories at their heart, so there is a degree of realism present in them. For one, Reed didn't invent faster-than-light engines. The ship they use traverses Einstein-Rosen bridges, also known as wormholes. This is something at least theoretically possible in reality. You'll also notice that Sue's hair is standing on end as it does in reality in microgravity environments, so them floating simply adds to the realism in an otherwise fantastic story.
Sue, hide us.
But only in a way that makes us still kind of visible, or else this is going to be super boring to watch.
Yelling at the screen cliché.
I will spare your world in exchange for the boy.
Worst gender reveal ever.
Really? Because this one didn't set anyone on fire or require a deadlift into a backflip.
Fine, it looks cool to surf on lava, but she doesn't need to surf on lava. She can surf on air, probably wherever she wants. Maybe stop showing off and get up out of the tube and up in the Fantastic Birthing Squad's new birthing plan.
Sending literally any of the surfing sequences.
Attached and jump.
And go where?
Anywhere, just jump.
Do you want to warp into a wall? Because this is how you warp into a wall. Also, where the f do you think? Why not back to f***ing Earth, where all the hospitals equipped to deliver human babies are?
Reed's technically a doctor.
Couldn't she have just made herself solid and traveled in the ship with them? How did the ship know to leave her behind?
Like Vision, the Silver Surfer has the ability to go intangible. In the very moment she went intangible to enter the ship and take the baby, Ben entered the wormhole. I mean, that's what we were shown. I don't even know why I have to explain that to you.
Creating a firing system that relies on being pulled to shoot. That's stupid.
Besides the fact that there are real-world equivalents for this sort of firing mechanism, the guns on this ship have to be designed in a way that each member can use them in a pinch. Remember, the thing's hands are not like everyone else's, and being able to physically pull the controls to shoot the gun makes the system accessible to Ben. I thought you were disabled, Jeremy. You don't really think like a person that knows the struggle of inaccessibility.
I could slingshot around the star.
That's trickist.
So are you going to pop culture reference every time this movie does something accurate to reality? I mean, all those science fiction properties did these things because that's how it's done in reality, and that's what good science fiction does. Use scientific principles we know in interesting ways. Gravitational slingshots have been used since the 50s. This is like the idiots claiming this movie copied Interstellar because of the way the neutron star looks in this movie. It's like, that's what they look like in real life, you idiots.
Magic powers or not, that's still a movie depicts labor as a 60-second challenging bathroom experience rather than the full day of pain that it more often is cliche.
But Galactus used the power cosmic to induce the birth of the child, so they kinda have an excuse.
I'm pretty sure Einstein once said, space is f***ing big, yo. So it's some bullshit that there just happens to be a neutron star close enough to Earth for this plan to work without it taking hundreds of years to get home without their FTL nonsense.
Dude, pay attention. They show the ship using a gravitational assist, which helps them enter the wormhole that allows them to reach Earth in a realistic time span. The distance of the neutron star to Earth would matter if they weren't using wormholes, but they are, so it doesn't.
God damn, how is Canada Dry the only ad that plays in Times Square? Why is this universe so weird?
Because it's different than what you're used to, it's weird and therefore sinful? That's racist.
I'm sorry, we don't have a prepared statement.
You've had an entire month, Genius Man.
Right. And do you think a month is enough time to satisfactorily explain to the literal planet that they failed to negotiate with a planet-eating cosmic god who is still on his way to eat Earth? I mean, I'd love to see you try.
He said, give us your child, and I will spare the Earth.
You said, what does that mean for us? Could giving Galactus the child save us?
It's not often I'm called an optimist, but I'd hope the initial reaction to this would be something like, oh yeah, of course not. Let's talk about nuking him first. But the general vibe of this crowd appears to be, sucks, but at least you can make a new one.
Well, that's because they're successfully answering the trolley problem. Frankly, the Fantastic Four are making an incredibly selfish choice here. Understandable, but incredibly selfish. The ask is one child for literally billions of other lives. Why is Franklin's life more important than Sally's or Jacob's? What I'm saying is the crowd's reaction is the logical one.
Now, We have a sentence translated, and we can use that to figure out what all of this means. For Rosetta Stone to find him in Archimedes' leather.
I'm sorry, but you are not using 3 words to figure out an entire language, unless those 3 words are Space Rosetta Stone.
I agree that this is implausible, at least for our reality. But it wasn't just 3 words. He got a translation of the phrase from the surfer herself and then cross-referenced the phrase with dozens of other recordings that Reed had already recorded. You missed that earlier when you were calling them hipsters for recording those transmissions to vinyl.
Space transmission. Shall we record and file it?
Why would you ever not record that? Or did he just ask so we'd be impressed the recording onto vinyl? Hipsters. Also, even if he could translate the language, what makes him think that he can get a solution? Why would the transmissions say anything other than, we're getting nommed?
They actually play audio showing that of the dozens of recordings Johnny was able to translate, there were people thanking the surfer for saving their planet. Using the cross-reference we described earlier, this would allow him to further understand the context of words being used, thus helping translate more of the language. I mean, if you don't know what sugoi means in Japanese, the context surrounding the usage of that word, such as the way in which it is said, could help you understand that it means amazing.
Also, Rise of the Silver also, why does this suspiciously feel like the Human Torch's powers aren't all that interesting, so we need to give him something actually interesting to do?
In what world do you believe the Human Torch's abilities aren't that interesting? They gave him this win because people consistently believe that's all he is, a cool but unintelligent playboy. They're giving the character depth, and you're complaining?
An unknown spacecraft, believed to be Galactus, has just passed Jupiter.
Why is Galactus approaching so slowly? If his stroll through the solar system is reflective of his interstellar speed, then it would take hundreds or maybe thousands of years to cross interstellar space. And if there's some reason he has to slow down once he arrives at Jupiter, then I'd appreciate some ancillary media spelling it out for me with pictures and possibly panels.
We know that the Silver Surfer was stuck in a neutron star for at least a month. Given that she entered a wormhole to even reach that neutron star, where she was relative to Galactus was pretty far away. Also, in the scene where they met Galactus, Johnny destroyed his feeding tubes, so it's safe to say Galactus was very hungry on his approach to Earth. And as his hunger is directly tied to his power level, this explains the overall nerf to the character in the story.
Designing your television to look like a 70s fireplace a spinning top.
I don't know. That description kind of makes it hot.
This is our son, Franklin.
No one can hear you.
I was this close to making an "are you deaf" joke, but considering you actually are at least partially deaf, are you deaf?
Give me a lever and a place to stand, and I will move the earth. We are going to move heaven and earth.
Holy shit, that random metaphor ended up being the literal f***ing solution.
Right? You can't literally move heaven and earth. Absolutely ridiculous metaphor. But not quite as ridiculous as that laugh.
You moved an egg across the room. You think you can do that with a planet?
We are out of options. We have to make it work. We will make it work.
Believing a plan will work because you want it so very, very, really, really super bad.
Considering the concept works in principle and that the only issue is scale, this is not him believing it'll work just because. Besides, he quite literally states they're out of options.
We've solved the physics of teleportation. The difference between a planet and an egg is only scale.
I suppose the physics of transportation is a lot easier when you live in a universe of people and objects that have the same molecular composition as an uncooked egg.
I think you believe that you just said something scientific. Let me assure you that you have not. Physics doesn't just magically stop working because something is different. If the composition of an object does not matter for the forces being applied to it, yes, the only issue here is scale. We can demonstrate inertial reference frames with a medicine ball and a truck, and that same concept still applies to the entire Earth.
If you can do something well, now you can do it for your planet.
I don't think you need whoever is running CinemaSins in this universe to nitpick all the ways you're handling this project wrong or why there aren't enough lap dances happening.
I think he said, if you can do something well, Jeremy.
I'm gonna let you tell me who you are.
Do you want the kid to name himself Charizard? Because this is how you name yourself Charizard.
Clowning Gen 1ers and their stupid attachment to Charizard because he's a dragon.
Storing your Easter eggs on the moon instead of the fridge or the cutting room floor.
Maybe I'm just stupid. Maybe it's Maybelline, but why do you think this is an Easter egg? They named the Future Foundation in the movie and stated that Sue was its leader. Were you just not paying attention? Oh.
Watching the Silver Surfer destroy these bridges made me do a deep dive into their powers. It's a long list that can be summarized as basically all the powers, meaning this is one more being in the MCU that can basically do anything and everything a movie needs them to do with no real scope of why any of it matters.
That is not an MCU problem. You are describing comic books as a whole. This is what I mentioned earlier, complaining about things the comic books invented, but directing that ire at the MCU itself. What, did you want them to remain street level in every fucking film? What are you even mad about here? People like you are why it took 20 years to get Wolverine in a yellow costume.
How? He barely has a grasp of the English language.
Ben would be excellent at why wasn't Reed doing this since?
Because Reed was busy trying to teleport an entire planet?
Few people realize that there's a direct link between unearthing deep emotions and the Bruce Almightiness of the nearest moon.
Jeremy makes a pop culture reference that isn't.
Instead of moving a planet away from one giant, we move one giant away from the planet.
Holy shit. Why wasn't this plan A? Given the option, not moving Earth halfway across the galaxy has got to be preferable, right? And take fewer resources to pull off.
Because that has a chance of failing, as it requires a being capable of consuming a planet to arrive at that planet. Anything goes wrong, you are now tendernism.
We can keep the portal open for...
Reed should hurry up and invent a calculator. It would save him so much time on the big math stuff.
Writing out formulas on a blackboard not only physically demonstrates to the audience that a character is intelligent, it shows the character is thinking about what they're figuring out. A calculator gives a solution to a known mathematical formula. But what if you're inventing a new formula that isn't programmed into a calculator?
Also, they've only witnessed one planet being destroyed by Galactus. So how do they know he even needs to leave the ship to destroy the planet? Why wouldn't he just send the Silver Surfer to nab Franklin?
I know, right? Why wouldn't Thanos send Loki to Earth to get the Tesseract? Why wouldn't he send Ronan to get the Power Gem? Why wouldn't he use the Black Order to...
I'd love to know what this wiggle in particular is doing.
That's what she said. Is what I would say if your college ex-girlfriend weren't a tube sock.
We're surrounded by miles of apartment buildings.
The population density of New York shouldn't have been news to them. So why didn't they start the evacuation last night when they came up with this plan?
Yes, let's try to evacuate New York City in the dead of night after we told everyone to turn off their power. That's very, very smart.
Oh, my. Very advanced.
The elevator?
Guy who claims to speak fluent sarcasm reveals he's only an N5.
Actually, that's only used for the Japanese language.
We've met Galactus. He'll eat the under part first.
I mean, not really. He'll eat the outer part of the planet, then the inner, and then the outer again. Does Reed assume that the cosmic being will save his side for last?
Do you seriously not understand that Reed is trying to manipulate Mole Man here, or are you actually fucking stupid?
We must use the time wisely to be with the ones we cherish.
And Ben chooses a school teacher he met the other day instead of his best friends and nephew.
Have you never had a redhead before? I mean, I haven't either, and neither has Ben, so he, like me, is trying to find out about them curtains.
Actually, that's...
I just came to see you.
Movie ends scene too fast for us to tell if her smile is a smile or a grimace, which helps me to know exactly how much of my ass needs to pucker.
Don't you mean her ass? I mean, he is literally rock hard and probably very girthy.
Also, what's stopping Galactus from stomping on the bridge and then swiping Franklin? This plan had 0% chance of working, something that I find tough to swallow in your average comic book outing. But an even bigger kick in my unbelievables when it comes from the character touted as the smartest man in the world.
You're doing that thing again where you assume in-universe characters have the same knowledge that you, the out-of-universe audience member, do. Why would Galactus destroy the bridge? Granted, he could do it accidentally, but the way you're stating this is that he'd do it purposefully. And we are literally shown the Invisible Woman has the capability to prevent him from doing this anyway, something you know, so this question is a waste of everyone's time.
We don't see a lot of Mr. Fantastic stretching powers in this movie, and I'd like to present the CG in this scene and the resulting goofy-ass Mickey Mouse-looking gloves as exhibits A and B for why that is a net positive.
Jeremy sends something he likes cliche.
Okay, I get Ben might have a rough landing here, but Johnny can f***ing fly. Why is he crash landing?
Because he and Ben slammed into Galactus's head and knocked themselves out?
I mean, great job, Sue, but why wasn't this plan A? He was one footstep away. She could have just pushed him over the line this whole time. Sure, there's the whole mom gets adrenaline dump and lifts car off baby thing, but...
And let me stop you right there, because you are answering yourself.
Great, between new Marvel Jesus and alternate realities, I guess we really never have to worry about anyone dying in the MCU ever again, assuming we were ever worried to begin with.
Another dumb criticism that doesn't actually address the events as they happen. An alternate version of a character is not that character not dying. Unless, of course, you think these two are the same character, in which you're probably devolving into the critical drinker. And you're not that stupid. Not yet, anyway.
A finger-licking, dead-inside pixie slab, a third-rate dime store nut milk. And I'll tell you what she can do.
I'm listening.
She can lick my goddamn cinnamon ring clean and kick rocks all the way to bald hell.
Can you stop that?
If the last thing I do in this godforsaken cum-gutter existence is light that fuckbox on fire, I still won't die happy.
Holy shit, girl, you crazy.
That's right, Wade. I won't be happy until I've urinated on her freshly barbecued corpse and husk-fucked the charred remains while gargling juggernauts jugging nuts.
What?